Welcome back to The Drum Electric. A video that's been requested and something I've used in the past is how to run backing tracks off of that there SPD-SX. That, or even just a drum pad, it doesn't even have to be the Roland SPD. This setup is going to have the click and backing track on two separate pads, so you can send the backing track out of the master out and then have your click go either the sub out or the headphones out depending on your setup and depending on if you want to send it to other people in your band and or live setup. This video was requested by our good person Christopher in the comment section on a video before. So if you have a request, there's something you want to know, there's something you want to see, please chuck it in the comment section down below. I'd love to help out wherever I can. If there's anything in these videos that you're like, I want to buy that, like the SPD, any of my triggers, the camera setup, and even down to the streaming setup, please check out the Amazon affiliate links in the description down below. You by no means have to use them, it's just by choice. I've got a list of some of the gear that I'm using, so if you're looking to buy some things, consider the links in the description. Anyway, on to making the backing tracks to use on our Roland SPD-SX. So, let's make the track itself, and fortunately it's easier than you think it is, which is always a really good thing. Now before we get into it, I'm using Logic to do this, but you absolutely do not need to use Logic. You can use whatever DAW you're comfortable with, whether that be Audacity, Pro Tools, Cubase, whatever you want. You just need a basic understanding of how it all works and how to manipulate audio just a little bit. So, in my Logic project, I've got the stems of the track. So this is just a track from Epidemic Sound, just so we don't have to deal with the royalties thing and you guys can absolutely hear this song without any problems wherever you are. But in your case, this will probably be either an original song that you've got access to the recordings, the original audio to, or it's a cover like Living on a Prayer, a bit of Lionel Richie, All Night Long, two very good examples, stuff that I've played myself. But it's a case of getting those stems, chucking them in your DAW, and then manipulating them accordingly. So here are my stems. As you can see, there's only 5, the bottom one being the full mix, so I've just muted that anyway. Up the top, I've added a click. So I'm just going to rename that click. There we go. It's an 8th note click. It's just what I love working with, but you can make the click whatever you want it to be. So this is what my click sounds like. So it's just on the downbeats and then a shaker on the 8th note, which is quite nice to play with. So here's the track itself. This is what it sounds like. This is what I'm working with. Alright, and that goes on for another 2 or so minutes. It's a great tune. I found it on Epidemic Sound and it sounds great. I mean, but with this, as you can hear, I've still got the drums in it. Now, I want to keep that drum intro in there. I just quite like the sound of it. I think it sounds great and it gives a nice intro for me and the rest of the band in this case to sort of warm up into it. We don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 straight in. It's got an intro, so we've got a little bit of time. So I'm just going to zoom into my drum. Just going to zoom into my drum track and decide where I want to cut it. So I'm going to go from about here. Cool. So as you can hear, you get the blattum de oof. I want to play that. Well, I'm getting a little jealous. I want to play that. So I'm just going to get my scissors, and I'm just going to cut that out. So it's about there and then just delete. All right, I'll zoom out a little bit, hit play, make sure it's in the right place. You get the idea. But it's building stuff like that and building around it. Now, because I sadly don't have a band in this room with me, I'm going to keep the rest of the instruments there. But if you had a bass player, for example, you had the guitarist, you had the horns, you could mute accordingly. In this case, I'm just going to stick with that. Now, when we're putting this onto the SPD, which we'll do in a minute, we've got 2 outputs. So we've got the stereo out and a separate output for our click. So we don't have to worry about panning this to one side and panning the click to the other. We just have to export the click track and then the stems. It's nice and easy. So I'm going to do that now. The way I do it, I just solo all of the stems I want. Make sure the project is long enough, so I'm just going to bring that loop just to the end there. That'll do. It's really rough. And then right to the beginning. And then there's this little bounce button on the stereo out. I'm going to export this as a WAV, but you can export it as an MP3, whatever you want. If you're using the SPD, I recommend a WAV because sometimes MP3s are a little interesting there. Hit OK, place it wherever you wanted to put it, on your laptop, computer, whatever you're using, and then just let it bounce down for that project. So once that's finished exporting, then it's exactly the same for the click. So I'm just going to remove the soloing for the rest of it, solo the click, hit export, and let it do its thing. Make sure they're all exactly the same settings, otherwise you may get some mishmash, some things that don't sync up when you put it onto the SPD. Okay, that's exported. Let's hop behind the kit and get this all on to the drum pad, or in my case, the Roland SPD-SX. We're around the facility of the drum kit. I've got my SPD just here, just side of shot, and then just underneath I've got my laptop. I'll be importing all of the audio via my Mac. You can do this by USB stick if you want to. If so, make sure you check out the video up here. But just follow along with the Mac. It's nice and easy, and it's just my preferred way of doing it because I know the software and I can access all of the options on the software, so I know that when it comes to playing the SPD, it's all going to be right there and set up exactly how I want it. So as you can see on my screen, I have the SPD-SX editor up. You by no means have to use this. It's very similar to Roland's actual software. This is just the first software I ever bought when I got my SPD, and it's just what I've used ever since. If you do want to check it out though, I'll put the link in the description. It's a very handy piece of software, but like I said, you don't have to use this by any means. So I've got a lot of things going on. It's various bands, various samples that I've used and put in there, but we'll just create a new kit by hitting the Add New Kit button. Kit number 36, that'll do. That's a brand new empty kit that has got a random clap in it, so I'm just going to delete WAV. There we go. So now we've got a brand new, completely empty SPD, which is great. So what I want to do is import my backing tracks and click onto the SPD so I can obviously put them onto the drum pads. So I'm just going to hit the Import WAV button and go to wherever my backing tracks are. So it's imported into the software successfully, and that's what we like. It's right at the bottom of the list. I currently have 332 samples in my SPD, which is just a little bit ridiculous, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to choose to put it on pads 8 and 9. It's just a personal preference. You don't by any means have to put them here. You can put them wherever you want, as long as you remember where they are. So I'm going to put my click on pad 8 by just clicking and dragging, and then I'm going to put my backing track on pad 9, again by clicking and dragging. Right there, you can see them loaded into the SPD and then sample number on there. It's as easy as that. Now, the thing that I want to make sure is that the loop is off, because otherwise it's just going to loop over and over and over again. And the dynamics are also off on both, because otherwise you'll hit it, if you hit it really gently at 1 gig, just completely by accident, or it picks it up really gently, then you're going to get a really quiet backing track, and no one wants that. Alright, so the click, output assign, what I want to do is I want to move that to phones only, so it's only going to come out of my headphone jack on the SPD. And then the backing track, the instruments track, that's going to go to the master out. That's the one that I'm going to be sending to the front of house. The last thing we want to do is sync these up. So the pad link up here, you've got pad 8, where is it, pad 8, and pad 9, which are these two here. So what that means is as soon as I hit one pad, they're both going to play at exactly the same time. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing, and that means it doesn't matter which one you hit, as long as you hit one of them, they're both going to play. And finally, the most important bit, I'm going to name the kit Dino_1, because dinosaurs are the best. Has no relevance to this, not even a little bit. I just like dinosaurs. Cool, that's it. That's all imported onto the SPD, onto the software. We just hit save down at the bottom, unplug the SPD, and we are good to go. So I'm going to swivel round, hit that kit, and you'll be able to hear the outputs of the SPD whilst I play. It's going to be good fun. Let's see what happens. that is that. We now have backing tracks coming out of the master out of our drum pad, in this case the SPD-SX, and click coming out the headphones out, or again the sub out, depending on what you want to do. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy, and you can do this as many times. I tend to have one backing track per sample group, so that one on dyno_1 will be the first backing track, and then I hit the plus button to go to the next sample patch on the SPD, and that will be my next backing track. This is just to separate them so I don't accidentally trigger off the wrong track, and it also means that I've got the rest of the drum pads to put samples on if I need them. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if you want to have any of the gear that I'm using to make these videos, the SPD and any triggers that I use, please check out the links in the description down below. It does help out Drum Electric and means I can make more of these videos. If you have any questions, requests, general comments, please chuck them in the comment section down below. I'd love to help out wherever I can. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for all of our shiny new videos, and I will see you in the next one.